Any opposed to the motion? All right, hearing none, motion carries. All right, is there any member of the public who is here to speak to item number 10, which is the future land use map approval?
Hello.
Good evening.
My name's Edward Kelly. I live at 142 East Rutherford in Athens. And in reading over the land use program, it's quite detailed and kind of a little hard to understand, but it seems like there may be a push to try to solve the affordability housing project by one of the aspects is to shoehorn more housing into areas by having people add on to their house or put an apartment over a garage or such. And in reality, I don't think that's going to happen very much with just single-family homeowners who've lived here a while. It's going to be investors, basically people from outside our area, not our electorate people, who are looking to buy up properties with just the right mix of aspects where they can shoehorn a bunch of bedrooms into a property. And they're not looking at it from a standpoint of being affordable. Look at the project which I spoke about months ago at 160 East Rutherford, where they took a 3-bedroom rental house and now there's 4 buildings and 14 bedrooms and 17 parking spaces, and that's the outside investors, and they're not looking to rent them for cheap. And same with the approval for rezoning on the condominiums across from the ballpark, the baseball stadium, that they wanted a rezoning. Those aren't going to be selling for less than about 1.5 million. So I just wonder how it's going to be handled overall in this land use program to prevent, if we're going to try to solve maybe some of the affordable housing projects. We were walking out Broad Street going west away from downtown on Broad Street between Millage and, or between Lumpkin and Millage, and you look at the properties there that so much more could be done with. They're very close to downtown, they're very close to campus, and they're very close to the bus line. Let's use that. Let's not try to shoehorn a new building into the backyard of somebody in a nice neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Is there anyone else here to speak to item number 10?
Could I speak again for a second?
Yeah, for a separate item, you certainly can.
It's designated on the future land use plan that our area now could be zoned the same as Millage and Lumpkin. We live in RM1, East Rutherford. We're mainly single-family homes. Some are rentals, some are owner-occupied like ours are. Our next-door neighbors are moving in as soon as they sell their home in Mississippi. They're moving in full-time. What we're scared of now is that it's been given the color of the same as Lumpkin and Millage, so that there could be businesses, nurseries, offices. We live on a very narrow one-way street right across from a school. It is so busy between parents walking their kids to school, buses. The parents circle around that way and come out after they've parked and picked up a child. They come down our street. It is packed. Can you imagine putting more offices, more buildings, 4 stories? I mean, it would just, to me, it just ruins 5 Points, especially our area. There's no way that ours should be the same as our Woodrow, Rutherford, Pinecrest, that should be the same color or zoning, whatever they're going to call it now, since it's not zoning, as Lumpkin and Millage. And we're in the same color area. I don't understand that and why that would be passed like that. It's just ridiculous. We're a one-way street with residential. How can that be? Woodrow is the same. It's got almost all single-family homes other than a set of condominiums on this side. I mean, we can't have any more, we can't be any closer to our neighbors. And to put businesses on all of ours, offices, nurseries, whatever they want to do, office space, that's ridiculous. And so we are totally against this future land use plan, let alone having 5 Points look like any other, downtown area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Good evening.
Hi, sorry, this is my first time. I don't have a input card.
That's okay. You'll be able to get one afterwards in the hall. No worries.
Okay, perfect. My name is Dayana Weiss, and I live on 118 Jarnigan Drive, and I'm a member of the Young Democrats UJA chapter. I came here to try and urge and compel you for this new future land use map to include affordable housing and a strong, structured plan for affordable housing for the future land use. I can tell you, which I'm sure you already know, that the poverty rate in Athens is 26%, double that of the state's average. Meanwhile, market rent is more expensive than 92% of the state. And in the past 2 years alone, the price of a 2-bedroom home has increased by 23%. These numbers are jarring, but I want to tell you what I've personally seen. I've walked down the railroads of Athens, and where there are no homes, just all the wild kudzu. And just off the side of one railroad, there was this man. And from afar, I could see him drying clothes propped up on sticks, a makeshift fire as a kitchen, a tent as a sheltered bed, and blue tarp as walls. In a county that failed to support him, that is the kind of home that he found himself in. I think of him now, facing this unprecedented ice and snow in Athens, Georgia. And I think of all the people that are one paycheck away from being where he is. It's beautifully profitable for the private developers in Athens to continuously cater to wealthy college students. But unless we want a man's home, this man's home, to be the new norm, simply, we must incentivize inclusionary development in Athens by implementing high-density zoning incentives that would allow developers to build at a higher density than normally permitted by zoning laws, that would bolster affordable housing development and accommodate more residents within urban areas of Athens, and reduce housing costs for low-income households.
Thank you, Ms. Weiss. Is there anyone else here to speak to item number 10 tonight? Good
Good
evening.
afternoon. My name is Barbara Daniel. I think that land trust map should be for low employment people that don't have anywhere to stay. It hardened my heart so bad to know the incident that happened in Clarke County of death from the weather. But I can remember telling y'all from in 2022 that the Lord gonna show y'all something. But it seemed to be the same thing over and over and over again. He's coming and he letting y'all know, but you're taking it for granted. And I feel so sorry that this stuff going on here in Athens. I've been here all my life. Everything y'all talk about. You promised me in 2023 that y'all weren't gonna build no more student houses. I'm finding out more and more student houses are coming. Then you also promised you were gonna do all you could do for the low-income people. Now they don't got to be from the low-income people to the poor people. And the same thing still going on and on. Land trust should and will build some low-income houses. Now, we sat here thinking that everything gonna be fine, but I've been here 3 years, and we got a new election coming up. We are tired. We are tired. We've been promised this, and we've been promised that. We've been promised. Now the promise is broken. We are tired. You all gonna have to make some decision on what y'all gonna do, or He will. And when he do, it's gonna be awful. So I'm asking all the election that going around here now, it's time for a new change. It's gonna have to be a new change. Because I've been here 3 years fighting the same battle, and I still get the same smirk on the same people's faces. So land trust should be affordable home for low-income people, poor for. We got poor people because we got a lot of rich people in Athens. They got home. These people that pass on in the snow and ice, y'all should be ashamed of yourself. But God got you.
Thank you, Ms. Daniel. Is there anyone else here to speak to item number 10 this evening?
My name's Lorraine Fuller. I'll fill out that later. I live at 145 Millage Terrace. I was part of this committee that came up with these maps. We worked, there's a lot of us here tonight. We worked really hard on these maps. We spent 1 to 2 days, every week? Every other week? Lots. We spent a lot of time on these maps. And I feel like I would like to thank you guys for letting the community, a community committee like this, spend as much time as we did developing these maps. And I feel like we really tried to keep the character of the county to go into the future. You notice the big green space. We try to keep as much of that as possible. We did a lot of ground truthing. And I would just like to thank you guys for letting us do that. And just keep telling people that this map is not zoning. And try to make that a little clearer what the next process is taking this map into zoning. And that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. Thank you for your service. Is there anyone else here tonight? Good evening.
Hi, my name is Sam Stabler. I was also a member of this Future Land Use Committee. I live at 228 Cleveland Avenue. I guess what I'd encourage the commissioners and the public to really dive into, ask your commissioners who will hopefully have a grasp and will continue to sort of get a better grasp, ask your, come to the planning department and really understand what this map is. It is not zoning. It is a roadmap for how we expect and would like the city to grow. It is based on sort of the acknowledgement that Athens will grow. And that was a point of constant discussion at the beginning. Well, should it grow? Can it grow? It's growing. So this is an acknowledgement of that. Where are we going to put this growth in sort of a semi-planned way? And again, emphasize this is not zoning. This is a map to potentially guide zoning reform, among other things. So I really encourage everyone to dive into it. It's a great citizen council and a great deal of outside experts who really came and gave their time and their expertise to the things that we would make decisions on. So again, if you're ever concerned with it and what you think it is, please seek out what it actually is. Because, I mean, just in sort of the few speakers we've heard here, I've already heard some things that are like, the perception of it is not what it is. So, yeah, that was just really dive into it. And obviously they're going to come to you guys, the commissioners, for this. So to answer these questions. So I really encourage you guys to understand the nuances of this future land use map. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stabler. Any others here to speak to item number 10 this evening? Good evening.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, My name is Kent Middleton. I live on 195 Clyde Road in District 8, and I served also on the steering committee. I want to thank the mayor and commission for creating a future land use process that includes considerable public input. I particularly appreciate the language in the category designations for town centers, neighborhood centers, and minor corridors. These designations will allow citizens and planners and developers and the mayor and commission itself to seek and expect moderate growth that retains a neighborhood scale and is not dominated by automobiles. Town centers and neighborhood centers in many Clarke County locations are a mixed-use development of mid-level intensity. Their design is supposed to be to have a cohesive character compatible with surrounding neighborhoods. Town centers and neighborhood centers are places where people are supposed to be able to live, work, and play. And they are places designed for walking, biking, and access to transit. Town centers should have dedicated open spaces. Gas stations and drive-throughs and other auto-oriented uses are not included in these areas. Similarly, the designation of minor corridor foresees growth at a neighborhood scale. One can expect Main Street storefronts and boulevards with cars and buses, and also pedestrians and bikers. On minor corridors, one can expect perhaps some cafe seating, street trees, sidewalk furniture, and traffic calming measures. Trees and open spaces were greatly favored in citizen surveys, although they weren't part of our working guidelines. We have a long way to go across all of Clarke County to fulfill the promise of moderate growth at a neighborhood scale in our town centers, our neighborhood centers, and our minor corridors. Just this year, 12 gas pumps have been installed in the center of one of the proposed east side town centers within sight of 3 existing gas stations. Soon the county will be updating its zoning code and rewriting its strategic plan to accommodate growth over the next 20 years. The land use designations in the proposed future land use map give citizens across Clarke County the language and the government imprimatur to seek coherent design, neighborhood compatibility, and various forms of transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Middleton. All right, is there anyone else here tonight to speak to item number 10 before we begin commission discussion?
I have my card. Sorry about that.
Good evening.
Hi, Leslie Sinyard, 710 Millage Circle. Appreciate y'all's time on the land use map. If anybody's been to planning commission meetings, it is being used for zoning decisions, one after another, for very high density zoning. I sat in the planning commission and saw things that were approved over and over. Last month, the downtown student housing was approved. High density, without sewer support, without ingress, egress into town support, and I get the ideas without cars, but people are gonna have cars, whether we want them to use them or not. So just know, the map's great, but it is being used to approve high density, also in the name of affordable housing, that is not affordable. And we see development after development, and that what they're charging per month is not affordable. So we need to be remembering, while this may be fine, it's not moderate growth. It is one development after another, very high density. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Senior. Is there anyone else here to speak to item number 10 tonight? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Alex Sams. My address is 100 Tipperary Road, Athens, Georgia. I am the chair of the Future Land Use Steering Committee, and I know y'all know that, but I appreciate the input we're getting tonight on both sides of the issues, and I wanted to just clear a few things up as well. First of all, I want to thank the committee. Y'all got to see some and hear some today, and it's great because They're the ones that did this. I just, as I said, as chair, lean the canoe one way or the other to make sure we're hitting everything along the trip and along the journey. One of the best analogies that has come up in all of this is the map is basically just setting the table. When you go to dinner, the table is set, and that's what this is. Zoning is more of what you're eating, the ingredients that go into the food. These are not the same things. They are often hit in some of the same planning commission meetings. I'm also on the planning commission. We have days or some projects and issues where we vote on a change in the future land use, and then we vote on zoning. But they don't always get voted on at the same time. A couple other little points that I do want to hit on. This map doesn't include putting office buildings in residential areas or neighborhoods. It's not on the map. The future land use map does not really designate anything on affordability of a property. There's not a color on there that says this will be an affordable neighborhood or an affordable property. The market is the strongest designation of that. Also, this is our 2-year anniversary on this committee. We started February 2 years ago. We have put a lot of time into this, and we take it very seriously. I know that there's some changes and thoughts on this map, and we don't mind that a bit. I've said that in all of our meetings. This map will possibly and probably change a little bit from the map that we offered to y'all. That's fine. This is the people's map. It shouldn't just stop with the people's committee. It needs to go through the process. The Planning Commission has already voted this forward, and now it's y'all's time to take each property and go forward with that. So I just wanted to hit on a couple of those things and let you know that again, and remind y'all that this is basically setting the table. It is what is going to encourage developers, builders, homeowners, and potential buyers. When they come in the area, they see where these items are going and where the properties will be going. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sams. Is there anyone else here to speak to item number 10 this evening? All right. I know for commissioners, there's been a series of small-scale recommendations for changes. I want certainly commissioners to be able to kind of view those and absorb those kind of within the total context of the map. And I know commissioners also were very interested in seeing how the future land use map overlays with the service delivery plan that we're going to be speaking about a week from tonight, or in fact in the afternoon, a week from today, at our work session. So certainly if a commissioner would like to just place a motion on the floor to hold this until next month.
So moved.
I'd accept that motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
All right.
Thornton second.
All right, got a motion from Commissioner Link and a second from Commissioner Thornton to hold. All right. Commissioner Link, any follow-up?
No, I have incoming requests from constituents, and we have more to talk about.
Commissioner Thornton?
Well, I know that the recommendation is to hold for until next month. I think that Commissioner Davenport, maybe a month or two, suggested March or April.
Yeah, I gave an option.
But I would like to suggest until April, because after talking to my colleague, Commissioner Myers, she will not be here in March. And I think this is such an important subject that all the commissioners should be here. She's going to be out the country.
Is that a substitute motion?
Commissioner
It's a
Link, would you like to kind of make a
I'm fine with
modification?
that.
All right, so motion and second is to hold till April. All right, any further input? Commissioner Myers?
Yeah, I just want to follow up with a couple of comments and requests for staff. One is that I shared with the commission the wonderful District 8 version of this PDF, of this map, and I hope that we could all get PDFs of our specific districts. There's wonderful technology with these maps online, but you cannot zoom in, you cannot see them very well as commissioners. And of course, in my little computer at home, the fancy maps where you can slide between the old and the new don't appear at all. So it's very hard to do that evaluation. So I think it would help us all to do that. I'd also ask staff if there's any way to facilitate a smoother process when we do have tweaks, like Mr. Sams mentioned. He realizes there might be tweaks at the commission level, and I know we did that in a slightly clumsy way this week, and perhaps you could facilitate somehow getting those together in some smoother way, because we are able to look more deeply in it. I mean, the CDL that we're not following through on, there's one parcel. I mean, I in District 8 that I wanted to look at, change, revise, and I don't even know if 1,000 or 2,000 would be a small number for how many parcels there are in my district. So I'm not talking about major changes, but to have a smoother process where we can look a little more closely and make those tweaks if they're needed in there. And then the other thing I just say is that we can all, up here among my colleagues, be really respectful of the tweaks that we're suggesting and make sure that we're suggesting tweaks in our own districts, and if we see something in someone else's, that we talk directly to those other commissioners about that, so that we can have this process move smoothly. I think the future land use plan, I mean, I'm really appreciative of it, and I'm really appreciative of what's behind it. It's taken me a long time to be able to understand it, so I could explain it to my constituents in there, the difference between the future land use and the zoning. I think that compatibility matrix that's in there is key to understanding the difference between them. So if there are any nerds out there like looking at it, make sure you get to know that compatibility matrix really well. Anyway, that's just what I wanted to share.
Thanks, Commissioner Myers. Commissioner Davenport.
Yes, so, and this is we're not putting on hold because of the fine work that the steering committee, y'all did an excellent job, and thank you for that hard work, and I know it was stressful. But we did get some last minute additions or changes that I think it would be best for us to vet through the community and making sure that everybody's comfortable in everybody's district, that their constituents are comfortable with those changes. And plus, we need to educate our constituents as well as the difference between zoning and the future land use map. I was hoping that we can get it done in March, but I do ask my colleagues, please, for the love of God, please, don't wait till the last minute. Let's work on it now. Let's, whatever free time we got, let's just work together via email, go back and forth over phone calls, and let's not do a Thursday night change that the Clerk of Commission got to produce to the public on Friday, and then we got to vote on Tuesday. So we can do it.
Commissioner Fisher.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And again, I also want to echo Commissioner Davenport on position with the steering committee, because like I said earlier, they did a yeoman's job, spent 2 years putting all this together, and I applaud you for that. I think one thing that's going to come out of this is our service delivery plan, which would consider sewer and water. That's been one of my big concerns. When we're looking at the future land use, we got to figure out sewer and water and what we're going to look at trying to build and where those houses are going to go or apartments going to go. We need to make sure that we have adequate sewer and water in those places in order to make this happen. Secondly, I do want to echo my colleague, Commissioner Myers, that I would like Planning Department to give each one of us our own district map, look at how that future land use looks, and then we can evaluate what we want to do within our own particular district. I look at District 5, I got 3 major single-family developments going on within District 5 right now. So I got to figure out in the future what that's going to look like, and we're going to make sure we got sewer and water to support if there's going to be more of that type of building going on. 281 homes, 40 homes, and then right down the street from me with Commissioner Thornton, 450 homes. So that's critical for what we're doing to our community. But sewer and water got to play a critical part in this in order for us to make this future land use work. So just want to put that in there.
Commissioner Wright.
Yeah, I think that having more time and us having the service delivery plan coming forward and us having confidence. I trust that what Manager Bob had said last meeting about how staff has been putting it together, but we need to make sure that we can speak about how that has been merging with what the committee's been doing as well. And I guess we probably need to have some clarity on the process of when a commissioner's making changes to this. As Commissioner Myers recommended, it would be, appropriate to speak to the other commissioners who you're changing things in their district for. And because changes in one are going to have ripple effects, positive and negative, to the other, that changes the balance of all the math that the planning director has been teaching us about, and the numbers and the percentages and all that sort of thing. And I'm just curious how we're going to be talking about the hypothetical changes to understand if we want them to be more than hypothetical changes, and the abundance of work that staff's going to have to do to get us to understand the ripple effect of a hypothetical changing, I don't know, 100 parcels. I call that more than just a minor tweak. So Kelly, maybe we can get some guidance over the next couple months so that staff's not doing work that is more involved than another way of it being processed could help. I just don't want this to be a burden for staff.
I'll work with the manager to put a memo together around that.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Thornton.
First of all, I was so quick to make that motion. I didn't thank the committee for your work. I do appreciate your work. I just know what happened between Friday and today and yesterday that you may not be aware of. So I do appreciate your work. I think that you're going to appreciate the outcome after we have this conversation. So, like I said, I jumped out there like I came in here like thunder, but it wasn't that. I just know what had happened over the weekend. And I also would like the map for my district. And I also want to commend Commissioner Myers. I went to her future land town hall. That was probably the best. That was so good. And every district should have that kind of conversation. She broke it down. Folk were comfortable. Even I understood what was going on. So again, I thank you guys. The affordability housing piece, I need your number. That's my thing. So, but again, thank you. I appreciate you. But I think even this group, for all the time that you've put into it, you will appreciate what's going to come out because we'll be doing it together.
Thanks, commissioners. And Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, thank you. I also want to thank the committee, and I know the work that you did. I attended meetings, every meeting from October until I think early January, and for Ms. Fuller, you met every other Monday for 2.5+ hours religiously, and you worked very hard, and I was there right behind you as you ruminated over the decision-making and negotiating and understanding and working really hard to understand. So I do appreciate the work. I have a question about the itemized list of parcels. I wanted to know how that was included, how that came about. Could the manager's office
Commissioner,
provide
I
that?
guess it's my understanding that commissioners who had some desires for modification sort of identified the general geography kind of within the map where they wanted some kind of finessing of future land use, and then drilled down to the parcel level, either by using probably QPublic or some assistance of staff. I think that's generally how that occurred. Commissioner Myers, you may have some perspective.
I think that there had been a discussion of that, mention of that at the agenda setting meeting, and because I remember, urging, Commissioner Lincoln mentioned she had some parcels and she was concerned about, and I remember urging myself and others to look again at ours. I look back because there's all these emails that had gone behind. Like this specific list that came through was like on January 25th, and then I replied a couple of days later and said I got this one parcel, and that's then the planning commission, the planning director, I think, made it into that chart. So that's just a little bit of, that's all that happened. I think that's a neat summary.
Helpful,
Thank you.
Commissioner. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, thank you so much. I did some research on the Department of Community Affairs website about the future land use map and the process. And according to DCA guidance, they view the future land use tool as, or the comprehensive plan as a policy tool, and parcel level decisions, specific parcels, are discouraged. It was even stated that Athens was atypical for itemizing the parcels, and it should be avoided because it blurs the plan zoning line. So the individuals that are here in opposition of this, they don't support it. They do for a very good reason. According to DCA, zoning is enforceable, is zoning as enforceable land use regulation when parcels are itemized in a flu update. Anyone opposed to this can argue the local governments have effectively pre-committed to rezoning outcomes without following zoning procedures. So this is atypical for the state of Georgia, and I was just, I don't want to open this up for, liability down the line because we've listed specific parcels. They recommend general areas, noting general areas on a map, but not identifying parcels. That's the Department of Community Affairs guidance on future land use planning maps.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Just want to make a couple notes. Appreciate everybody coming out. Appreciate commissioners' input and attention to their districts and attention to wanting to get the best out of the future of Clarke County. For those of you of a certain age, you may remember those science encyclopedias that included the anatomy transparencies of the human body. You probably remember seeing the circulatory system and the bone structure and the musculature and the limbic system and everything kind of in these series of plastic transparencies. In some ways, what we're doing with the future land use map as the foundation is putting together the anatomy of the community. And so the future land use map is just one layer of that anatomy. It's a kind of very generalized idea of saying, generally speaking, these are the sorts of things that we expect to happen in different areas. Zoning is a different layer of the anatomy of the community. It's saying much more specifically, here are the sorts of buildings, the sorts of uses, and those kind of aesthetic or structural components that we expect, parcel by parcel, square foot by square foot. And then what we're going to talk about in a week is the public service delivery plan, where we say that layer is, here's where we have water lines, and here's where we have sewer lines, and here's, generally speaking, how large they are and the capacity they have. There are a lot of other things that can go on top of that, and sometimes that includes affordability components, tools that may be employed in a variety of places that may move around the community. So I like to think about all the work we do in those terms. That's what we're doing here. We're ensuring the health of the community in the same way that all those human systems that we would see in those old science encyclopedias demonstrate how to maintain a healthy body. So certainly challenging, I think, when you don't have the day in, day out touch points that we have and that certainly our staff has. But appreciate everybody's diligence in this work. Certain that we're going to move to a conclusion of this first Tuesday, April. But given our legal responsibility, I'm going to have Attorney Drake read the ordinance here that we're going to hold until April.
An ordinance to amend the Code of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia with respect to adoption of a future development map and for other purposes.
All right, we have a motion to hold till April and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Thanks, everybody. All right, moving on, we've got a little bit of an unusual activity that we do maybe a couple times a year, and that's a public hearing and deliberation to adopt resolutions regarding abandonment and disposition of some rights-of-way